Megan, and thanks for joining us this evening. And welcome to CG.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay. Before I start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first. So as you might have guessed from my name, Siyi Wang, I'm Chinese. And I was born and raised in China. I just moved to the UK for the last year of my university as an exchange student in 2015. And then after that, I find out I quite enjoy living in this country. So I came back to do my master's at the same university as well. So I spent 2 years in London, and then also because I quite enjoy living here, when I was doing my master's, I started to looking for jobs. And I was quite lucky to be able to get into a graduate scheme in 2018, and then worked as a technology consultant since then. So I think we still see a lot of people joining now. Do you think I should wait for them for a little bit, or I just carry on? Yeah.
I think just carry on. Like I said before, it'll be recorded so people can watch back if they're joining us a little later.
Okay, great. So that's a little bit about my experience, and I'd also like to learn your background as well. So we're going to launch a poll to see who do we have in the audience today. So the first question I want to ask is, which year of study are you in now? So you should be able to see a poll now if you can select the answer. Oh, thank you for your cooperation. We're getting a lot of answers. Most of them are postgrads. We do have 2 first-year students. You are really early to start preparing, finding a job. Good for you. Okay, cool. I think that's it. Great. Thank you for your cooperation. So I can see most of us today here are postgrads, and some from first year, some from third year, and then some are already graduated. That's fantastic. And then the second question I want to ask is, what do you want to get out of from today's session? Please feel free to type your thoughts in the chat. This can help me to see if the content I prepared today will help you to learn the things you want to learn, and what kind of things should I perhaps add into my talk as well. So I cannot really see what we have in chat. Okay, I can see from here. I cannot see any answers coming into the chat. No, okay, cool.
We have one question. Can graduates still apply? So maybe that's something that we can get back to at the end. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's one comment.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. I will cover that in a bit. Okay, cool. Okay, I got a question about my personal experience of submitting applications. I will cover that in a bit as well. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks for what is graduate scheme. We will definitely cover that as well. Cool. Thank you. So we will make a start. I hope I can answer most of your questions today, if not all of them. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about what is a graduate scheme, how to apply for graduate schemes, and how to find networking opportunities. We will also leave 10 minutes at the end to cover all the other questions that I have not covered in my talk. Okay, so first of all, what is a graduate scheme? Well, to put it simply, it is an entry-level job. So people who are graduating from their undergrad or postgrad that are looking for a job, graduate scheme is a good option for you. It usually lasts for 2 or 3 years, and it is a structured training program as well. So comparing to the normal entry-level job, there are more training opportunities within graduate scheme, and I think that's what makes it more attractive to graduates. And we had a question earlier: can students who already graduated apply for graduate schemes as well? Yes, you can, if you are still on a Tier 4 student visa, or you are on a graduate visa, which is known as PSW as well. That's because I assume most of our audience today are international students. But if you are not an international student, you are British citizen, and then you can apply for graduate schemes, even if you graduated, even if you started working already, even if you worked for 2 or 3 years already, you can still apply for graduate schemes. I have colleagues who have graduated and worked for 2 years and then applied for the graduate scheme and got in. So that's not a problem. And also, before coming to this talk, I checked my colleagues from the student recruitment team to confirm with them, if you are holding a valid PSW visa, you can apply for graduate scheme as well. We got a question in: is graduate scheme eligible for skilled workers visa? Yes, and that's also another reason makes graduate scheme is a very good option for international students, because normally graduate schemes are run by big companies who want more diversity in their employees. So they're more happy to sponsor the skilled worker visa just on one condition: if you can successfully secure an offer with the employer, and then they will sponsor your skilled worker visa. You can ask follow-up questions as well about this later on if you have any. Okay. The graduate visa is 2 years, and it's not enough to complete the graduate scheme. So if they accepted your application and you successfully got an offer, and then the employers will help you to renew your visa. I don't think that will be a problem, but I will have more discussions with you as well at the end of the session and provide more guidance on that. Cool. So a lot of people will think, is graduate program a full-time job? Is it an internship? Do we have a probation period? No, graduate scheme is just a full-time job. If you get in, you get in. You don't have any probation period. You get all the benefits as an employee. And the last thing I want to say about graduate scheme is some of the graduate schemes provide rotations among roles or different locations of offices, but not all of them. So this depends on which graduate scheme you get in. And normally they will also tell you in the job description if there will be rotations. Yes, this is about what is graduate scheme. Okay, I will look at I'm getting a lot of questions, but I think I will leave questions at the end to answer them. Okay.
Make it a little bit easier. Perhaps people can ask the questions in the chat room for everyone, because we've got Karen on standby as well, who might be able to give you some answers, or I can try and give you some answers too while CG is delivering the talk, or otherwise we'll get back to the questions at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you have any burning question on the topic that I'm talking about, please drop a chat to everyone. So Tibiao and Karen can see the question, so they can just interrupt me and ask the question for you, and then I will answer on the spot. And then I mentioned graduate scheme is an entry-level job. We also have other like job types you can consider as well, like normal entry-level jobs, which are not graduate schemes, but they are open for students who are graduating, who are in their final year or in their postgraduate study. You can apply for entry-level jobs as well. So the differences between graduate schemes and entry-level jobs are mainly like most of the graduate schemes are run by maybe companies with a bigger size, but entry-level jobs maybe they're from companies in a smaller size. And then there are normally some application cycles for graduate schemes. So the best time to apply is September to October this year for next year's intake. So it's usually 1 year ahead. So if you just started your study now, like you just came to the university for your postgraduate, perhaps 1 week ago, and it is the time for you to start thinking about finding a job, because if you want to start working next year after you graduated, you need to start looking now. If you only start looking next year after you graduated, you won't be able to get in a graduate scheme that starts from next year. You will only be able to get in graduate scheme that start the year after next year, which is 2023. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yes, you can apply now, and you need to apply now if you want to start working from September or October next year. So about the visa question we had earlier, most of the companies who offer graduate schemes will also provide sponsorships for skilled worker visa. Like I mentioned earlier, as long as you applied, went through all the processes and successfully got the offer, the companies will help you to take care of your visa application. You don't need to worry that much of it. There are some companies with smaller size that might need more of your help with the visa application process, but the important thing is that you need to get an offer for the graduate schemes. And for the entry-level jobs, it's a little bit harder to get skilled worker visa sponsorship comparing to the grad schemes. But you can apply with your PSW visa for the entry-level jobs. And then later on, after 2 years, if you're looking for a change, you can find a job that provide skilled worker visa sponsorship, so you can stay for a little bit longer if you want. And often a lot of students also ask me, should I apply for internships now to get more work experience? Well, if you are an undergraduate in your first year or second year, that you are not in a hurry, yes, apply for internships to get more experience. That will be helpful. But if you are a third year student or you are a postgraduate, I personally think you should prioritize on applying for graduate scheme or entry-level jobs, because applying for jobs is a lot of work. You will need a lot of time and effort. Having an internship might take a lot of time, but don't have that much of value to add onto your CV. But that's my personal advice. And usually the internship programs run by the big companies, they only open for students who are in their second year of study, or students who are in their third year of study, but they are going to have one more year for postgraduate. So if they get into the internship program, there are opportunities for them to return to the companies if their performance is good, and then they will get the opportunity to get the interview with the company, and then the company will offer them a return offer. And then once they graduate next year, they can just join the company without going through the graduate scheme. So for those of you who are first year students, this is something you should consider to apply for an internship program in your second year. I won't talk too much details about the placement inside program and apprentice programs, because placement programs are usually for undergraduates who take 1 year out to work and then come back to study. And then inside program are usually for first or second year students. Inside programs are usually just 1 week or a few days to give students in first year or second year some taste of what it is like to work in a company. And apprentice programs are for A-level students who have not gone into university, but straight into the industry and start working. The companies will usually sponsor them to do universities as well while they are working. So if you see these options from a career page, placements, inside programs, apprentice programs, graduate programs, what do I choose? Well, if you are third year student or postgraduate, you need to choose graduate scheme. The other programs are not the correct programs for you. So these are some differences between among different programs, and the application timeline is for your reference only. So you need to refer to the employer's website for their application timeline, and also go to their website to check if they can sponsor visa. Okay, that's about the available job types. So next, I'm going to talk some my personal experience. I also saw a question earlier in the chat that are interested in my application process. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Why did I want to work in the UK? So first of all, because like I said in the beginning, I liked living in London when I came here for the first year, so I wanted to stay for a little bit longer, and that's one thing. And then another thing is I also found out there are more opportunities here than in China, mainly because a lot of graduate schemes are open for students from any disciplines. That means no matter what you study, you can choose whatever graduate schemes you want to get into. You can choose whatever career path you want to get into. So for example, you want to do audit. That's a very popular option for a lot of Chinese students. Do you have to have a degree with finance? No, you don't. As long as you're interested in audit, you can apply for audit programs. So I'm in technology consulting, but I didn't have any experience with any technology at all. I just got interested in technology because when I was studying for my postgraduate, I joined a society, a student society, where we held a lot of talks with financial technologists. And then through those talks, I just found out, oh, this is interesting. Technology is interesting. And I've always been interested in consulting. I studied English in my undergraduate, and then I found out I'm interested in the business side. Then I studied for management in my master's, and then from that time I kind of wanted to get into consulting, but I always wanted to get into management consulting until I started to grow the interest in technology. So that's why I wanted to work in the UK, and how did I get into technology consulting? And the reason why I chose to apply for graduate scheme is, first of all, I applied 3 years ago, and and this is a very honest reason. Not many jobs can offer me a visa sponsorship, but graduate scheme is almost like a guarantee. So as long as I can get an offer with the graduate scheme, I can get visa sponsorship. So it offered a lot of good opportunities there, and also graduate schemes provide more training opportunities than normal entry-level jobs. Usually, graduate schemes are quite well structured for training for 2 to 3 years. And I do feel in my 3 years in my graduate scheme, I feel I just finished another university. I was very well supported, and I had many opportunities for training. So that's a biggest attractive thing for me for graduate scheme. And then, yeah, and also normally it doesn't require any background of the applicants. So all of the graduate schemes I know of from Big 4 companies, whether it's audit, consulting, tax, they don't require you study any of those subjects to be able to apply for those programs, except for those programs really require technical skills. But most of them don't require you to have the relevant background to apply for the scheme. There are also some technology schemes. They train you to code and train you to be a data engineer or cloud engineer, and you don't need to have any experience on that as well. So my application process, so I already knew, I guess I'm quite lucky because I already knew I wanted to find a job in UK when I came to study for my postgraduate in October 2017. So I started to look at opportunities from that time. And then after a period of research, I found out graduate schemes might be my best choice. So I just started to apply. And also I just talked about the programs I was interested in, management consulting, technology consulting. So I just went on to search what are the companies that offer management consulting and technology consulting opportunities. So I used some website to search for jobs, like Target Jobs, which is quite a good website to look at all the opportunities. And another way I used quite often is I just go to the company's website to see what programs do they offer. So I mentioned earlier, I only identified that I want to apply for graduate schemes from big companies. So I just, for example, I just search KPMG's name, and then I can search KPMG Korea, and then I will go to their career page and then go to their graduate program section to see what graduate programs do they offer. And then I just apply from there. So I started my application in mid-October, and then I went through application for online tests, video interview, assessment center, all that good stuff. And then I finally got an offer in April the next year. So it's quite a long period of time for my application process. It's about 6 months. But I think it's normal because usually it takes a bit time for them to process the applications. And frankly, it's quite a long process from the beginning to the end. So I applied for about 20 companies in total, and then I got into one. That's my personal application experience. If you are interested in knowing more about it, you can ask the questions in the end as well. And my feeling for this 3 years graduate program is, in general, I'm very happy with it. Like I said, I feel it's just like another university I attended for 3 years. I was very well supported. I think I learned a lot of things. I joined the company knowing nothing, and I didn't, well, as you can probably imagine, my English was not even that good when I joined the company. And when I joined the meetings, sometimes I just don't understand what they're talking about. So I started with that, and then now, well, I can lead discussions in meetings. So definitely a lot of personal development in there in these 3 years, and also through the training, I also improved a lot of my soft skills, like communications and all that good of stuff, and then leadership skills, and moving to a manager role from this year on. So that's also why I want to strongly recommend graduate schemes to you all, because I think it is really a good place for fresh graduates to start with. Well, and also, to be honest, it's not always all other good things. I do feel there are certain things that can be improved in my graduate scheme. I do feel the progress I made is a little bit slower than I expected. I thought I could achieve this in 2 years, but then I ended up using 3 years. But overall, I think it was a good graduate scheme, and I learned a lot from it. That's about my personal experience. And then next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the whole process of how to successfully get into the graduate scheme. So from my personal experience, I think actually every step is hard, but I think the hardest part for myself was the first step, was to find out my interest and passion and what kind of grad schemes can I apply. So that actually took me about a month to find out. I think if you don't already know what kind of job you want to do, and you kind of feel like, well, it seems like I can do everything, it's going to be a little bit hard for you to find out what graduate schemes can you apply. But I think it's a good process to do the research, to find out what are the available options, and to really think of your interests and passions, and then find out what are the schemes you want to apply in the end. And also you can know yourself better through the preparation of your CV as well, to see what your past experience might offer some skills that might be helpful in your future roles and things like that. And then in the planning stage, I think it's really important to do a lot of research for the industry you want to be in and the companies you want to apply for. And then you also need to do your timeline planning as well, because there are a lot of companies offer a lot of graduate schemes, and there are a lot of things you want to apply, and you apply them all at the same time, and then you get interviews all at the same time, and then you don't have enough time to do proper preparation for the interviews you got, and then that's not going to lead to good results. So timeline planning is critical for your application, your applications to be successful. And then also during this preparation stage, I also found out networking is very helpful. It was very helpful to me, to help me find out where my interests lie, and to help me find out the ideas I have, the jobs I want to apply, if those jobs are really the jobs I want to apply. Because sometimes when you read the job description, they are not very clear, they are quite general. You don't know, you just don't know if this is something I really want to do by reading the job descriptions. But if you talk with some people that already have experience in that area, they will provide you a better view on the job you are going to apply, and that will help you to find out if that's really the job you want to apply. And same thing for company as well. So networking helped me a lot to find out about that, and also it helped me a lot for my interview processes as well. So if you can find graduates who recently just joined the company, so they have a lot of experience with the interview process, they can share with you. So that's very helpful as well. And then for the whole application process, if you don't already know, so normally these are the stages for the graduate scheme application process. So you will start with application form. Basically, it's about some your background, educational or work experience, and then some of your personal information. And sometimes for some schemes, they will include open questions like, why do you want to apply for this company? Why do you want to apply for this role? You need to write a short answer for those open questions. But generally, application form is not that hard to complete. And then after the application form, online tests are a little bit tricky. A lot of people fail in this stage. I think the only advice I can give is to find some exercise to practice, get to know the types of tests, and then it will help you to be better prepared. So usually there are a few types of online tests: numerical tests, situational judgment, verbal, and logical. I think none of them is very easy, but situational judgmental test can be extremely tricky because they ask you for some situations as if you were working for the company and ask what decisions would you make, what is the best option, and what is the worst option. And if you haven't already worked, and then you still have a student mindset, it might be a little bit tricky for you to find the answer the employers are looking for. But a tip is that you can read the company's value, and then sometimes they will give some guidance on their graduate scheme website as well. So the values can guide you through this kind of test. For example, companies usually looking for integrity, collaboration, so you know what might guide your options here. So that's a tip I can give here. And then next stage, we will need to do video interview. And then it can include some more situational judgment questions. And then it can include a report that you need to write. And then there will be some career motivation questions as well. Career motivation questions will ask you, why do you want to apply for this company and this role, and why you should get this role, like basically these 3 questions. And then after the interview, the final stage is usually the assessment center. The assessment center is usually a 1 day's activity. It will have multiple activities in that day, usually a group discussion, and then a writing exercise, and a one-to-one interview with a senior member in the team. And sometimes some graduate schemes also have another round of interview after assessment center as well. But sometimes they just have the interview included in the assessment center, and assessment center is your last step. And then if you are successful, you will happily get an offer. But if you are unsuccessful, then you can actually request for feedback to say what have you done well and what could you be improved to help you with your next application. So this is the application process for most of the graduate schemes. I don't think we have enough time to talk into too much details, but I've prepared a few links that you can go into and have a look about what are the psychometric tests the employers might use in your second stage, so you can be better prepared for those tests. And they also offer some free tests for you to practice as well. And then my last topic is how to find networking opportunities. I mentioned earlier, networking helped me a lot during my application process. So I also highly recommend you to find networking opportunities to help you with your applications as well. So there are a lot of ways to find networking opportunities. So I just listed a few that I used, hopefully to give you some ideas where you might be able to find these opportunities as well. So first of all, our universities are a very good source for this. I think every university offers a lot of good career services. So career centers, they usually organize some career fairs where they bring in a lot of employers from all the industries. It is some huge events happening in October, November time. So look out for that. That's a very good opportunity for you to speak to employers directly and ask them questions. And then career centers might also organize some workshops with some of the employers, and then they will send out links to you as well. And then they should also offer one-to-one appointments where you can arrange an appointment with a career consultant to talk about your career planning, to revise your CV, to talk about interview tips, things like that. And then there are also a lot of activity happening in university that run by students' union. There are a lot of societies you can join. Some of them are quite helpful. So the society I joined in my postgraduate year was really helpful to me, because I met a lot of people through the events they organized. Some of the people are really not the people I can find in my daily life, but they were invited to those events, and I got opportunity to speak to them and got inspired. Yeah, so that was very nice. We invited some founder or CEOs, and that was really, really helpful. And then universities usually organize alumni events as well, where you can meet alumni who have already graduated, and they can provide some insights for you as well. And then outside of universities, you can also find networking opportunities with employers. So employers are also actively organizing all kinds of recruitment events to attract you, the best talent, to join them. So they arrange a lot of events like Insight Days to bring students into their company, to introduce their company to students, and also introduce the application process to attract students to apply. And then they will also go to campus to do other recruitment events as well. LinkedIn, you might have already heard of it. If there is a specific job you want to apply, you need to contact for the job, and you don't have any, LinkedIn might be a good place for you to look for this person you want to find. You don't have to know the person already, but it's better if you have certain connections. Like, for example, you are from the same university, and then it's easier to open the conversation. But if you want to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, there are certain techniques you need to, not techniques, but tips you need to use to get a better chance to get replies. Imagine these people, they're all working and they are all very busy, and sometimes they get a lot of requests. Can you help me with this and that? So how can you make them to be more willing to help you? So I always thought you should show that you already did your research. You know what job are you applying for. You already know it very well, but there are just a few questions you cannot find the answer from the online sources. So you need to ask the right questions to the people you want to connect with, so they can provide you with the answer. If you want to know more about this, we can talk a bit more about this later as well. And then we have other opportunities from other organizations, events as well. For example, Bright Network is just an organization to hold a lot of recruitment events. And then London Tech Advocate is it's probably a good organization for you to look at if you are interested in getting into tech. There are a lot of industry pioneers in this network, and it's a fantastic place to network with. I think that's it for my today's content, and how amazing is that we are right on time. So next, I'm going to open the floor to our audience here.
Oh, thank you very much. That was so insightful, and I'm sure you've given the students a lot of help there and tips along the way. We've got one question that's quite fitting because it's about time management, and since you've aimed your talk so nicely and finished 10 minutes before, Kenta is asking, how did you manage your schedule during a time where you prepare for tests, you have to write applications, you have to prepare for interviews, and all of this is happening at the same time as attending your classes and also writing assignments and so on?
That's actually a very good question. I struggled with that as well, and I'm sure almost all of us struggled with that, especially for students who just came to UK to start their study in a foreign country, and they still need to adapt the new environment, and then suddenly they have all the things they need to do. They need to manage their study, and they need to start with their applications as well. Yeah, I don't know if this is suitable to be recorded, but I'm probably not a very good example, but I sacrificed my study time. I prioritize the job applications. There might be some there might be something you need to know. The academic results of your postgraduate is not very important to your application. So you just need to have a good undergraduate result, and then you are covered. So if there are some conflicts, I'm not saying you shouldn't study, you should study. Well, I managed to get distinction for my postgraduate as well, but it's just sometimes when there are some conflicts, I would prioritize my job application over my study. But of course, I had to complete all my assignments on time and pass my exams. I I won't lie to you, now all the memories just came back. It was a very time schedule for me. So for the first year I was here, I was an exchange student. I didn't have to do job applications. I had all the time to go out on weekends. I had all the time to go to European countries to travel. But in my postgraduate year, I didn't do any of those. I didn't have much fun. I spent all my time to do job applications, to attend all kinds of events, to learn all the new things about applying for a job. Yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Definitely. So I think what I take out of that answer is to prioritize. I guess that's the key, isn't it? And just be prepared that there will be a very busy time where fun student activities might have to be put aside for a while.
Yeah, I think sorry, my prioritization list was like job application, and then networking events, and then study, and then having fun. Was like that. Yeah, you might feel a little bit pity while I'm here in this country, but I don't get a lot of time to have fun. But imagine if you get a job here, you will stay for a few more years to explore all the good things. So why the hurry?
Yeah, exactly. Another question we've had is somebody asked if the graduate scheme has to be related to your major. I think you touched on it a little bit, but yeah, just to make clear, maybe that could be answered again.
Yeah, so most of the graduate programs don't have to be related to your major, except for very few graduate schemes that request students with specific skill sets like coding, or well, if yeah, just a few graduate programs require for your academic background to match for the requirements. But if they do have this requirement, they will also state it in the job description. So if you look at the job description, if they say this is open for any discipline, then you can apply. If they say this is only open for students with engineering background, then you cannot apply. But most of the graduate programs are open for open to all.
Okay, thank you. Somebody asked, where do you get all the information from about graduate scheme? What companies are offering them? I know Karen's already put in the chat the response that basically it's putting in your Google search, you know, companies that offer graduate schemes. But do you have any other tips how people can find out who's offering those?
So in general, most of the big companies, like Big Four accounting firms, Big Five banks, those big firms like the consulting firms and tech firms, most of them, they all offer graduate schemes. Graduate schemes are actually very popular in the UK. I think this is a unique phenomenon in the UK. Graduate schemes have been on for many years, and they are very popular among the UK employers. So most of them actually run graduate schemes. I mentioned two ways of how did I find graduate schemes when I applied. So one way is to go to some websites that provide jobs that you can apply, and one of them is Target Jobs that I used a lot. I'm going to drop in the chat, Target Jobs. Yeah, and then another way is just Google those companies' name that I'm interested in, and then go to their career page to find the graduate schemes they offer. Yeah, that were the two ways I found out the graduate schemes.
Well, thank you. Another question, and this is relating to the skilled workers visa. How do companies support the students with the skilled worker visa? And the student knew that one of the requirements is, for example, to state your annual salary, but what else do you need for your visa application from the companies, other than the annual salary?
Not much, actually. So most of the companies who offer visa sponsorship, their salary basically can meet that standard. And then other than that, my application was totally handled by my company. They told me what kind of documents I needed to submit to them. So I submitted my documents to my company's immigration team, and they helped me to submit my application to the Home Office. What you must have is a valid student visa or a valid PSW visa. So that helps them to get the skilled worker visa sponsorship for you. If you are not on any visa currently, that might be a problem, but I assume most of you here today have a valid visa, so there's not much you need to worry about.
Okay, one last question. Somebody's asked me whether like internships or roles as a student, like being a student ambassador, for example, is helpful when you apply for graduate schemes.
Oh, that's a great question.
You know, those positions that you can you can be as a student and gain valuable experience, I'm sure they will be looked at quite valuable, I would imagine.
That's actually a great question. That reminded me of something I wanted to share with you. So the job title of the internship actually doesn't matter that much. What matters a lot to your future employer is the skills you get out of this experience. To be more specifically, actually the soft skills you get out from your internship experiences. Soft skills, for those of you who don't already know, are skills like communication skills, leadership skills, organization skills, working under pressure, things like that. Those things are the things that employers are looking for from you, not a job title or a lie of your internship experience. So if you are looking to boost your employability, you need to look for those opportunities that can improve your soft skills. You can even get this similarly from university activities, from society activities. But yeah, I'm sure being a student ambassador will improve some of those skills, so it will be helpful for your future application.
Oh, thank you. And that actually takes us to 7 o'clock. So we want to finish on time. I'm conscious of time. Everybody's very busy. So I'm sure you'd like to join me in thanking Siyi for such an extensive and informative talk this evening. I will follow this up with an email next week, and in that email I'll share the presentation, the talk tonight, also a little survey link, so we're always trying to get new ideas, what talks we can put on for everyone. And if there are any questions, do just email me, reply to that email that I'll be sending out. So thank you very much once again, Siyi, for your time. Do stay on, we'll have a little chat afterwards. And everybody have a nice evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And thanks for having me tonight. Hope that was helpful.